So it turns out that we actually did get some pretty credible information yesterday, with Hakari being mentioned in this chapter because it's straight up confirmed here, but we have everything else now, so let's get into it. So the title of the chapter is about the culling. Tengen explains that the angel is currently in the barrier east to Tokyo, then brings up a map to show where the barriers are. Apparently, Hokkaido isn't included in the game because it's sacred land. He also says that for kenjaku's purposes, the game has go on for 2 months tops. Not sure if they're saying like has gone on for or like will go on for. But in case you're unaware, the angel that they're talking about here was revealed at the end of the previous chapter by the name of Hana Kurusu, and apparently her curse technique is the ability to extinguish curse techniques. So according to what is going to be discussed here, I guess that means like straight up like remove it from you, and not just like cancel it or shut it off, but like straight up like killing you by removing it, I guess. Then they start going through the rules. According to the first one, Sumiki should have around 10 days and 15 hours left before she has to join the game. So the first rule is, after awakening a curse technique, players must declare their participation in the culling game at a barrier of their choice within 19 days. So I guess that means that it's been nearly 9 days at this point since all of this has started. And also that Sumiki hasn't definitely started in the game yet. The second one says players would lose their technique, but according to Tengen and a flashback from Yeri, you die if that happens. It's not you're forbidden from using it, so it can't be a vow, and it should be something that messes with the brain. So the second rule is any player who breaks the previous rule shall be subject to curse technique removal. And as stated here, you die if that happens because it has something to do with the brain, and the brain's connection to cursed energy and just all of that stuff in general has been talked about here and there in the series, but I think it ultimately comes back to they don't fully understand how it works yet, but the brain is tied to it in some way. So I guess it's being revealed here that if you lose your curse technique, or if it's removed from you somehow, you just straight up die, I guess because of its connection to the brain. These are just rough spoilers, of course. We'll get, clearly a full detailed explanation of everything being said here once the chapter is fully released. Maki points out that people like her aren't a risk and wonders about Panda. Does he have a brain? I could see that being a comical moment here. And yes, this is true, considering we all know that Maki doesn't have a cursed technique or even cursed energy at this point. So this rule definitely favors her. It seems that people who were already inside the barrier are allowed to leave instead of accepting participation. This sort of stuff is relevant for bindings. For rules 4 and 5, it seems that the way the game master can monitor the game and talk with players is through bug-shaped shikigami that follow each player, called kogane. For rule 6, it's just that. No removing rules, only adding more. For rule 7, it seems that the game master isn't allowed to reject new rules just because they'd be disadvantageous to kenjaku because of bindings. For rule 8, Itadori says, so we have to kill again. But Fushiguro answers, no, I have some ideas regarding that. So rule 8 is if a player's score remains the same for 19 days, that player shall be subjected to curse technique removal, aka just... So he means that, he's going to have to kill people to get more points so that his points don't stay the same, and he dies as a result. And I'm super interested to see Fushiguro's ideas regarding that, because I assume that that was going to come into play here. There has to be some way that they can manipulate the rules or just work around them as to where everybody doesn't necessarily even have to kill anybody, but just them not dying themselves, since I guess it was revealed in the previous chapter that essentially everybody could potentially die here, or it's very likely that they will. Then they talk about what to do next. Maki says she'll get some cursed tools from the Zenin, since the 3 clans all took away the tools that were with the college after Gojo got sealed. She says she can get through now that Megumi is the Zenin leader. Yuji says, oh, and Megumi says, I'll explain later. So yeah, I almost forgot that, Toji had somehow orchestrated it into the will that Megumi is going to become the leader of the Zenin clan. So now we're going to see him reaping the benefits of that, or at least attempt to. I'm sure they're just not going to bow down to him immediately. I mean, Naoya is still Naoya, and we don't really know the full motives of the other leaders, but I'm sure they're not all too altruistic or very, I guess, open to Megumi becoming the new leader here. But I guess he is eventually going to get what he wants here, and we're going to see a new arsenal of weapons, just not for Maki, but for everyone. I assume special grade for sure. Tengen also promises her access to Kumiya Juzo's atelier. So Juzo is that weird guy that showed up in the Kyoto Goodwill event, with Hanami and them. And yeah, I guess the guy's some kind of blacksmith or something, because he was making like weapons and just things in general. And his atelier is, I guess, his workshop. So they're going to have access to that, meaning that I assume they're going to have the original special grade tools or grade 1 tools at minimum. And then I guess using his workshop, they can improve them further, meaning we might get some truly busted weapons here, possibly. I mean, it is the final arc, so I assume that we're going to see the most powerful stuff available at this point. Yuta and Yuji begin to worry about the two being apart, but Megumi says, look, if Sukuna kills me, Yuta just has to kill him after that. And Yuji is like, we're kind of trying to avoid that. So interesting here, the second instance of Sukuna versus Okkotsu being brought up. I talked about this in my previous reviews, how I think that's pretty much establishing that this is very likely going to happen. And now that we're bringing it up again, it seems even more likely than ever now. And that's certainly something I'm really looking forward to. Megumi and Yuji are going to meet Hakari Kinji the third year to convince him to help. Yuji says, is he strong? And Okkotsu says, when push comes to shove, he's stronger than me. And Maki says, yeah, no. So I like how Geji plays this. Not straight out confirmation that Hakari is stronger than Okkotsu, because maybe Okkotsu's being a little humble here, and Maki's like, yeah, no, you're the strongest. So I guess she has seen Hakari's power herself and knows that I guess he's not as strong as Okkotsu. Or maybe this is Maki giving Okkotsu too much credit, considering, they have that relationship between them. But yeah, like I was saying before, this confirms what I was talking about yesterday in my spoilers video, that Hakari is being mentioned here, and I speculated like, okay, so why are they talking about Hakari? It was probably because they're trying to recruit him for the culling game here. This is like going back to the final arc. We need to get everybody together. Hakari has yet to be revealed, and this is, about the time that that's going to happen, I suppose. But regardless, if Okkotsu's saying that Hakari, I guess, being serious here is stronger than himself, then we're looking at, a crazy powerhouse here, and quite possibly the strongest sorcerer in the series right now, given that Gojo is currently sealed. When they're all set and leaving, Yuji thanks Choso before leaving. Then he starts crying. Oh, we got a nice little moment between the stepbrothers here, so this was nice. And I guess this means that Choso and Tsukumo are definitely staying with Tengen for the remainder of this arc. I mean, I don't think they're going to be there until the very end of the series, missing out on everything. But considering that Tengen said that, Kenjaku's coming after him, that very likely will happen. Like, I think we're going to see that. So I guess that's when Choso and Tsukumo will be relieved of their duties. The last 5 pages show some failing stand-up comedian, Takaba Fumihiko, and reveal that he's a player in the culling game. So yeah, not much I could say on this, but I guess he's going to be important to it, and he'll have some kind of significant ability to him. This kind of reminds me of the Chapter Black arc from Yu Yu Hakusho for some reason. Preview for Chapter 147. While everyone moves to the end of the culling game, there's a player who can't separate his feelings. So that could be referring to Takaba here, possibly, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. Where do you think this stuff is headed? Let me know. And if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.